In this video, I'm going to introduce the basic grammar of prepositions, and then we're going to get just a touch of practice at the end. You don't need your whiteboard for the practice in this video. So with respect to prepositions and their grammar, a few basic things. What a preposition is. A preposition is a word that indicates how one word or another set of words relate to one another. Prepositions take their name from the fact that they can be prefixed to a verb. These are called proper prepositions because they are properly preposed. They are actually preposed or stuck at the beginning of a verb to make what is called a compound verb. So, for example, when we take the preposition ek, which at its root means out of, and balo, which means throw, you combine those two, you get I throw out. When you take ana, which means up, and you combine it with gnosko, which means I know, you get I know up. No, that's not correct. You get I read. The point here is that the combination of the preposition and the root don't necessarily equal the sum of their parts. That is to say, they can mean something different. A preposition with a stem, when they're made into a verb, can mean something different than what the basic elements of each one is. So sometimes you will find that you can simply take the preposition and the stem, combine those to make the meaning, but there are other times when the meaning is going to change altogether. So just because you see a preposition at the beginning of a verb does not necessarily mean that the sense of that preposition is going to be embedded in the meaning of that particular verb in a one-to-one correlation with English. Another important note with respect to when a proper preposition, properly preposed, properly put on the beginning of a verb, when that happens and a verb augments, pop quiz, it augments to show what? That's right, it normally augments to show the past tense. That is the imperfect or the aorist tense. The augment doesn't go before the preposition. The augment goes between the preposition and the root of the verb. So using our example, ekbalo, the preposition is going to, the augment is going to go after the preposition. And sometimes you'll see slight changes for the purpose of pronunciation to the consonant that the preposition ends with. So here, ekbalo goes to ex-a-balon. Another pop quiz here. What is the difference between these two verbs, ex-a-balon and ex-a-balon? Yes, this one has one less lambda than this one does. And what does that indicate? That's right, this indicates a changed root, whereas this one is built on the present tense, which means one of these is one form of the past tense, one of the tenses that we know, and this one is a different tense. So the one that changes its form, which is a strong verb to indicate the past tense, this one is going to be second aorist, whereas this one is going to be imperfect because it's built on that present tense stem. Both of them get the augment stuck between the preposition and the stem to indicate the past tense, but they are different kinds of past tense. And our last pop quiz for this particular slide is what is the difference in meaning between the imperfect, which is built on the present tense, and the second aorist, which is built on a changed root. That's right, nailed it. The imperfect is continuous action in the past. Dr. Elder was teaching. The action was ongoing over a period of time versus the second aorist, it's simple action in the past. Dr. Elder taught. The action of teaching is viewed as a whole rather than as ongoing. So a little bit more grammar of prepositions here. Prepositions can also stand independently of a word. So they do not necessarily need to be preposed to a verb. Those are proper prepositions, but we also have improper prepositions that are not connected directly to the word itself. So in our example here, ha Jesus ebalon ton daimonion ek, tes ecclesias. Ek here is a preposition that is not preposed to any verb. It independently stands on its own. And when this happens, sometimes you will see with prepositions that end with a vowel, that final vowel is going to drop off. That is called elision, or it will elide if the next word begins with a vowel. That is for the purpose of pronunciation. If you have two vowels, it's easier to have a consonant and then a vowel for the purposes of pronunciation. And you'll also see, as I noted, that some consonants will change to a different form, particularly their aspirated form. Aspirated means they get a s sound in there, which you can hear in that term, aspirated. And very, very, very importantly, prepositions will take cases when they stand on their own. Grammatically speaking, this means that they take cases as the object of the preposition. So a preposition can have words after it in particular cases, and those cases, and when I say in particular cases, I mean nominative, genitive, dative, and accusative. Normally only the last three though, genitive, dative, and accusative. They're taking those cases within the whole phrase of the preposition, what is called a prepositional phrase. And so we have the example in te ecclesia. In the church is going within. It's part of the whole phrase. It's the object of the preposition in the dative case. In takes the dative following it. But some prepositions, or I should say, prepositions take a different number of cases. Some prepositions will only take one case following them. Some prepositions will take two different cases following them. Some prepositions will take three different cases following them. And the unfortunate and tricky thing is that oftentimes a preposition will change its basic meaning dependent on the case that follows it. So when you are learning the vocabulary of prepositions, you need to learn separately what the meaning is for each preposition with a different case. What, for example, para means with the genitive, that is from. What para means with the dative, that is with. And what para means when it has the accusative as its object, and that is going to be beside or alongside. So prepositions will change their meaning depending on the case that they take, or depending on the case that follows them. We give the examples of para here. Para to theou is from God, whereas para to theo in the dative case, to theo is in the dative here, it's in the genitive here. Down here, it's going to mean with God, whereas with the accusative, ton theon, it's going to mean beside or alongside God. So the preposition changes what it means dependent on what case is following it. So to give us a few examples here and to move to our practice. So what I want you to do is attempt to identify the prepositional phrase in this sentence. First, I'm going to give it to you in Greek, ask you to try and identify it through my Greek reading here, and then I'll give you the English translation and further identify or correct yourself based on the translation. We have dia ton graphon genoskamen ton namon to theou. See if you can identify the prepositional phrase. Take a guess at it. All right, now English translation. We have through the writings, we know the law of God. Through the writings, we know the law of God. I've generally gone in the Greek word order for my English translation there. All right, nailed it. Dia ton graphon is our prepositional phrase here. And what I want you to now identify is what word the prepositional phrase relates to. Remember, prepositional phrases indicate how two different words or phrases relate to one another, sort of giving more information about another word or phrase. Which one do you suspect it is going with? That is right. It's going with this verb right here, genoskomen. This is what is called an adverbial prepositional phrase because it's modifying a verb. It is through the writings that we know the object, the law of God. So the prepositional phrase here, modifying the verb, what's called an adverbial prepositional phrase. When I say prepositional phrase, I mean the preposition with the object that it takes. So here, dia takes the genitive, in this case, the genitive plural. All right, let's do another one. Identify the prepositional phrase in this case. I will read in Greek and then give us a translation. We have anagnosko, ha mathetes, parabalein, peri tes basileas. Go ahead and take a guess at which one is the prepositional phrase. All right, and now I'll go ahead and do an English translation for us. We have the disciple reads a parable about the kingdom. Now, given that English translation, see if that helps you identify what the prepositional phrase is. All right, nailed it. We've got peri tes basileas, about the kingdom. So about the kingdom is our prepositional phrase. Because I'm asking for prepositional phrase, we have both preposition and the object that's going with it. Peri is our preposition. Tes basileas in the genitive is the object that's going with the preposition to make up the entire prepositional phrase. If you guessed ana right here, that would be a good guess. This is a proper preposition. It's properly appended to the front of the verb gnosko, which means gnosko means to know, but when you get anagnosko, you get to read. And so in this case, ha mathetes is our subject. Anagnoske is our third person singular present active indicative verb in the sentence, and parabalein is our direct object. And so our very last thing to do here before we close out with a high five is to guess which word the prepositional phrase relates to. So in this case, it is not the verb. In this case, it's the noun, parabalein. So the disciple reads a parable about the kingdom. So whereas up here we had the writing through the writings modifying know, the verb, here we have concerning the kingdom modifying the noun parabalein. So in a way, this prepositional phrase is functioning like an adjective. That is to say, it's giving us more information about a noun, which is what an adjective normally does. So this is our other major function of prepositional phrases, is to modify nouns. It is the an adjectival modification or an adjectival prepositional phrase versus the adverbial prepositional phrase up here. All right, that's all I've got for you with respect to prepositions. I'm going to come up a little bit bigger here just to go in for our high five for your little bit of practice here. 1, 2, 3, high five. Great work. Proud of you.